Welcome back to another edition of the No Further Comments podcast. This is the Basketball Insider edition. I'm your co-host, Alex Meacham. Now, as usual, we have special guests on the Basketball Insider podcast. In the past, we've had Ryan Reedy from McNick High School, Drew Huxtable from Anderson High School. Our intern, Will Sultan, who plays tennis for Anderson High School, is usually here. He has tennis matches and practice going on right now. So it's just me holding it down, but I do have some special guests, which we'll get to very shortly. Want to go over a couple things, social media. Let's start off with Twitter and IG at NFC Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter and IG at Alex_Meacham. That's MEACHAM. Now, this is the 8th episode of the Basketball Insider edition of the No Further Comments podcast. We normally do a bigger podcast that covers pop culture and all that stuff with Glenn Riley, but this is our basketball specific edition. This is number 8. This is kind of our Kobe. This is our Black Mamba podcast. So I want to bring in our special guest. We have 2 of them today. First is a senior from Moeller High School. His name is Carlos Garcia. I nicknamed him The Glue, which I'll talk a little bit about shortly on why I call him The Glue. The other one is a senior from Covcath High School, Aiden Rusatz, who I call The Heartbeat. Now, even though these 2 young men come from 2 different sides of the river, one in Cincinnati, one in northern Kentucky, both have some unique similarities in their basketball experience, from growing up playing basketball, coming from out of state, winning state championships, and all that stuff we're going to get into and learn about their journey a little bit more shortly. I'd like to welcome in Carlos and Aiden. How you guys doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Good. Happy to be here.
Good, good. All right, so first I want to start off with this. I want to go over you guys' backgrounds, where you came from, how you picked schools, and all that good stuff. So, Carlos, we're going to start with you. If you can give our audience just a quick review of your background.
Okay, yeah. So I was born here, and then 3 months into that, I moved down to Puerto Rico, lived there for 4 years, then came back. Ever since then, I've been a part of Mason school systems, and I went through the whole middle school and elementary school. Went through Mason, and when it was time to pick a high school, Moeller was the one for me. I played for St. Sue, so I kind of got in touch with the whole Catholic League and things like that.
Right.
And so when it was time, and I was getting educated on what schools I could go to, Moeller just seemed like a perfect fit, and I had a shadow there, and I visited and all that stuff, and it was just a great experience, and I wanted to be a part of it. And then from there on out, I kind of just fell in love with the program, fell in love with the process and the culture that Moeller has to offer, and just thrived overall, not just basketball, but also academically and through service and things like that.
So this is the good fit for you, and you said this, the culture at Moeller. I hear a lot of kids that come out of Moeller that played basketball or just students there. They talk about the culture at the school in the basketball program.
Yeah, it's something special. It's something that I don't think a lot of schools can duplicate, even at the college level. And it's a brotherhood that we have there, which is another thing that Moeller sells is our brotherhood.
Right.
It's shown through our basketball program, and we really embrace it. And that's why I think we are so successful every year, not just because of the talent that we bring, but also the mindset that all our guys have.
Sure, absolutely. So Aiden, moving on to you, give us your background.
I was born in Sandusky, Ohio, a small town in Ohio. When I was going into 3rd grade, we moved to New Jersey so my dad could learn more about coaching and how to run a team. We lived there for 3 years, and then we moved to here in Edgewood. And my brother went through Covcath. I went to St. Pius, and everyone that goes to St. Pius goes to Covcath, so I was just with everyone else. Got to Covcath. My dad was my coach all 4 years. My brother won a state championship, and this year I did. So pretty much everything that my life that we've been through has been building up to these past 4 years.
Now, how was it moving around? It's for some kids, they move to different states. You guys were moving from Ohio to New Jersey and then to northern Kentucky, so that's kind of a big jump there. So was that tough for you?
The first move when we moved to New Jersey, I don't think it was that tough because I was still pretty young, and I didn't really have like real deep roots with any of my friends in Sandusky. But when we had to move from New Jersey to here, I think it was a little tougher because I was older, and I made some pretty good friends in New Jersey, and I was honestly just a little scared to go into new territory. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know like the culture, what anyone would be like. So moving here was a little tougher, but after the first year, I realized these people weren't that bad. So
You're worried the people were going to be bad?
yeah, a little bit.
So one thing I want to talk to you guys about is something I read a long time ago, and that was being average, being good, and being great. And it's often said that there are tons of people that are average, millions of average people. You could go to your school, Carlos. How many people go to Moeller?
I'd probably say around 600-800.
Wow, a lot of students there. There are a lot of average people there, and I hate to say that, but there are. There are a lot of good, let's just take it to players. There are a lot of average players. There are a lot of good players, but there are very few great players. And you know, the word's thrown around a little bit more now, and that is GOAT, greatest of all time. You know, we'll talk about some GOATs at the end of the podcast here, but you hear GOAT thrown around a lot, greatest of all time, and anytime you're in that category, which is a very, very special category, and it's a very small category, anytime you achieve things both on individual and team levels, you are putting yourself in smaller categories, which puts you at a great level. And both of you guys have done that. And what you've done is you've been a part of experience of being a state champion, Kentucky and Ohio. And that puts you in a category of great. So don't take that lightly, because I don't know how many people have come through CovCath and won state championships. Do you know how many state championships have been won at CovCath?
All together, no. There's only 2 for basketball.
Only 2 for basketball.
Yeah.
So you are really amongst a small group of people that have won a state championship, and that is putting yourself in a category of greatness. Championships at Moeller?
4.
4. So, I mean, championships are tough to come by, right? Even, I mean, all the success Moeller's had over the years, all the great players. One of my former teammates came out of Moeller, Bobby Brannon, who I'm sure you've heard of.
Yeah.
And going back to Bobby Brannon and before that, so many great players, the Larkin family, but there are only 4 state championships. Once again, putting yourself in a category, a very small one, and you're part of something great. So what I'm getting to is do not take that for granted. I know it's easy to kind of live in the moment. You're just hooping and hanging out, but you guys have achieved something that's been great. So let me dive into individually, you guys, and I'll give you some thoughts. You know, I've had a chance to watch both of you guys, I think, from the start of your career at the beginning of high school all the way to the end, also at an AAU level. And Carlos, just starting with you, you know, one of the things that you bring to the table at Moeller, and I look at it as if I'm putting together a team, a varsity team, of course you want to have a high-level talent or somebody with great potential like a Jackson Hayes. Like everybody wants that. You know, I want a Jackson Hayes on my team. What is he, 6'10"?
Yeah, 6'11" probably.
6'11", rim changer, throw the ball up to the concession stand. He's going to catch it, bring it back in and dunk it, all that stuff. You want one of those. That's great to have. Jeremiah Davis. You want a guy who's, Jeremiah Davenport, who's come along from freshman year and has really developed. And in my opinion, Jeremiah Davenport is the most improved player in the city of Cincinnati, hands down, in my opinion. And you know, as a coach, you want to have players that improve that level, that night in and night out, Jeremiah could be the best player on the court, no matter who you play. And that's fine and dandy, and those are hard to come by. But every team needs a Carlos Garcia. And that's why I called you the glue, because you bring things together. Teams like UC, Xavier, Kentucky, and Kentucky's had teams that have won national championships, and those coaches, whether it's Tubby Smith or whoever it's been, always point to the guy that may not have been the best player, but the player that brought everything together. And Carlos, I think that was you. You know, when I watched you all season, you really developed into a leader. So I want to put that out there, and you can, you know, say anything you feel about what I just said.
Yeah, I mean, it's all nice, but I just feel like everyone kind of just did their role, and I knew what my role was. Those guys that you talked about knew what their role was, and
Right.
Alec and Isaiah and everyone that came off the bench, everyone knew their role, and so I feel like that's what made our team so good. We had a lot of really good players, and we would have had a good season if we just played like that, but we were great this year, and I think it's because everyone like filled in their role, and my role was just to be whatever the team needed to win, and so I did that.
And you played it well. It was very beneficial to the team, and we'll talk about that state championship run shortly. And Aiden, moving on to you, I called you the heartbeat because you were the heartbeat of this Covcath basketball team. And I've used this example before of you. I'm at a game. I'm watching you guys play. I had a buddy with me, and he hadn't seen you guys play, and he knows, you know, you're going and playing in college, and Jake's going and playing in college, and CJ Frederick's going and playing in college, and kind of wants to see what you guys are about. And CJ was playing pretty well, and you had the ball at the top of the key, and CJ was on the right side, I believe. You penetrated to CJ's side, sucked in his defender, and kicked it out. And CJ had been hot previous to that, and he knocked down the shot. And my buddy said, "Man, that CJ kid's pretty good." And I said, "Yeah, but did you notice what just happened?" I said, "Aiden made that happen. Aiden noticed my best shooter's right here. He's hot. I know how to give him the ball. I'm not just passing him the ball. I'm going to bring his defender to me, penetrate, pitch." Of course, that's an old adage in basketball. And he's just like, "Oh, man." So he started to watch you a little bit more, and he says, "Man, that kid does so many things, your post feeds, your different things that made this team really good." And guys like that, you know, I call them the heartbeat, the pulse of their team. And with you running the show the way you did, I attribute a lot of the things you did to your team winning the 2018 state championship. So anything you want to add on to that?
Well, thank you first off, and
You're welcome.
I like to see myself as a selfless player. So, obviously, when I see Jake and CJ are hot, or anyone else on our team, I know to get them the ball, and especially CJ. You know, when he's hot, he doesn't miss very many.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, of course, I got to get him the ball. As a point guard, that's really my job. So I just do my job.
Because it's easy. I mean, you can score. You can shoot the basketball. All right. Jake walks in any gym, and he's one of the biggest players. He can walk in a college gym, right?
Yeah.
And he's one of the biggest players there. So, I mean, it's easy for any of you guys to want to shoot a lot, take over the game. But like you said, being selfless, being able to understand CJ's hot right now. I got to get him the ball. But that's what makes teams great. And I don't know if that's your DNA, if you were taught that, if your dad helped instill that in you. But whatever that is, if you continue that through college, you'll be very successful in college, be a successful college basketball player, which we're going to talk about both your college commitments shortly. But now what I want to do, we'll talk about this season and leading up to this season for both of you guys. And what's so interesting, your stories parallel each other, just all the way from you guys coming from out of town, coming in, all the way to how you guys ended your season last year, to this season winning a state championship. So there are a lot of parallels, and I think that's what's cool about bringing both of you guys in. But looking at last year, and Carlos, we'll start with you and Moeller, and you guys going into the state championship last year, undefeated, playing a very good team in Jackson, right?
Yeah.
And coming down to the wire, the last seconds, and you guys lose that game. And I know it was heartbreaking for a lot of people in that locker room, including yourself. So take us through real quick the role you played last year, and then the feeling that the team had after you guys lost that heartbreaking game.
So for the role last year that I had, I didn't really have much of a role when it came to Friday and Saturday nights. I was more of a practice guy, especially towards the second half of the season. First half of the season, I was getting pretty good minutes and probably like one of the sixth man or seventh man on the team. But as the season progressed, I got in the shooting slump and just things were starting not going my way, and other guys were playing better. And so the coaches made decisions to make the team better and for us to win. And I mean, we were winning, so you can't really complain.
Right.
But yeah, so I was more of a practice squad guy towards the second half of the season, and that I remember just that whole tournament run was like, it was a really fun time. But I really wish I would have been out there and like really like been competing during that. And so when the final buzzer went off and we lost by 1 in the state championship, that was my goal for the next year. And I know that I was going to do whatever it takes to get to that spot, and I knew that my teammates, the ones that were going to play the year after, were going to do the same thing. And so, like, the seniors had their own meeting after the game where they talked about, like, going to college and, like, it being over and things like that. And for the guys who were playing next year, we talked about, like, what's our goal now? What's, like, we just lost. Like, what are we going to do about it? And obviously, we're all competitors, every single one of us. And so we knew that what we were going to do is just work hard every single day and get to the same place and finish the job. And, yeah.
So you go from a role last year in basically a practice player,
Yeah.
right, second half, and to moving into this season being a leader. Is that something you consciously knew during the off season, like whether the coaches told you or not? Was it something inherently you just said, I'm going to be the leader of this basketball team, or I want to be one of the leaders?
Yeah, my freshman and sophomore year, when I played freshman in JV, I was one of the leaders of the team. And so
Right.
It wasn't like I just surprisingly showed up and started like telling people what to do and things like that. No, the kind of guys looked up to me because even though I was like a practice player, didn't mean I was just like slacking off and like not doing anything. Even while the season was going on, I was out doing workouts and like shooting before practice and things like that. And guys knew about that, and they knew like the hard work that I was putting in. And so when you put in hard work, people start to respect you a little bit
Sure.
more. And so I guess that's pretty much what happened with the season. And it also kind of helped that I was playing a lot better, playing more confident. And so guys looked at me in that way too. Yeah, it always does. But yeah, I mean, you can still have leaders coming off the bench. And I think that's what I did my junior year, was kind of just be a leader for like the practice squad and for just like getting the guys on the blue team better. And then I changed my role the next year to being a leader on the court.
Where do you think that leadership skill comes from? Because I know people try to be leaders, and they have to work at being leaders. And it sounds like, from what you just told me and what I've seen of you, leadership skills come naturally to you.
Yeah, they do. And I think it kind of stems off of my work ethic. I've always considered myself a servant leader, so I'm not going to be the guy who's telling you, like, hey, go do this or, like, do that extra rep if I'm not willing to do it myself.
Right,
and so,
right.
And for me, it's more of a process of, like, at first, I'm just going to outwork everyone. And everyone's going to, like, at that point have respect for me. And then after that, they're going to look up to me and I can, like, give them pointers and things like that. But I'm not going to go in the gym and start telling people what to do. I'm going to show people what I can do and, like, why I'm as good as I am through, like, the work that I put in. And then people normally gravitate towards guys like that. I do the same thing with other people. If I see people working super hard, I just gravitate towards those people because I want to be like that.
Absolutely.
And so I feel like that's how my style of leadership works, is towards my work ethic.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, Aiden, a little bit of a different situation last year in your role versus Carlos's role, where, I mean, you started last year, correct?
Yep.
And very similar to his situation, you guys in the season on a tough note. You didn't make it to the state championship game, but you lose to Cooper. What round was that last year?
It was a region final.
Regional final. That was at Northern Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
You lose to Cooper, a very good Cooper basketball team, but you lose to them. Talk about your role with that team last year, how it felt when you finished that season losing to Cooper, who's a big-time rival for you. When I think of Northern Kentucky, you think Covcath and Cooper going at it on a Friday or Saturday night.
Yeah.
So how did that feel?
It was tough. That would be the second year that we lost in the regional final, and just knowing that you worked all of the off season and during the season to get to that moment and you guys lose, it hurts. But we knew that Cooper was a really good team, and that time they just outplayed us. But we only had one senior that played. We had another senior that was on the bench. So we were pretty young that year, and all of us juniors got together and talked about everything that we had to change in order to get to state the next year. And so after the season, we all put in all the work that was needed. We talked about everything that needed to be changed, and the coaches held up their part and changed some in some aspects.
Mm-hmm.
And this season, we just try to perfect ourselves at everything, and we won state. So I guess we did pretty good at it.
Absolutely. So your role of being a leader this season, Carlos, I think his leadership style would be different than your leadership style. So what would your leadership style? What is your leadership style?
I would say, like, during practice, like during games, I'm definitely more vocal because I care more about it and I don't want to lose. But I would say during practice, I like to show through my actions. Like I want everyone to know that you're not going to outwork me, and that I've been through a lot. So the experiences that I've been through, you need to learn from them. So I usually just try to teach through my actions.
So when you get to the games, you're very vocal.
Yeah.
And what is it? Just
it's just
the
it's just the
popping
passion.
and
Yeah. My passion for winning. Like, I hate losing, so I'll do whatever to win.
Absolutely, gotcha. Okay, so now let's start this journey. Let's start this journey of what I say. I don't care what anybody says. You play how many games did you play in a regular season, Carlos?
22.
So 22. You play more games in Kentucky, I believe, right?
35, I think.
Wow. So during that, they play a lot in Kentucky, man.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, they play a lot of basketball. So, you know, the course of a season, and I've talked about this on this podcast, my other podcast, that is whether you play high school, college, or in the NBA, you break your schedule down into mini seasons, and you have to do it that way. If you don't do it that way and you just say, okay, whatever, it's not going to work out well. Good coaches and good programs have things broken down, and you guys both have excellent coaches. So looking at mini seasons within a season, I'm sure both of you guys, and Aiden, I want to start with you. I'm sure both of you guys went through a situation during the season that was tough. You had a rough patch. For example, I'm watching NCAA tournament this year, Loyola Chicago. That was a team that no one expected to be in the Final Four. You didn't have them in your, right?
Nope.
You didn't have them, right?
I didn't.
Sister Jean didn't even have them in the Final Four, so not a lot of people did. And I was listening to an interview of one of their better players, and he was talking about at a point during the season in which he was like, man, this thing's falling apart. Like, this ship is sinking. He heard players wanting to quit, players talking about transferring, and they bonded together, and they go on and make it to the Final Four, which was very, very impressive. But every team goes through different periods in which they struggle. Aiden, was there a point this year that you guys struggled? Talk about it, and how'd you guys get through it?
Of course, I think this season, it was when we went down to King of the Bluegrass tournament in Fairfield or Fairdale or something like that. We played, we played Ballard, beat Ballard, then we played Fern Creek and Cooper. All those three games were back-to-back. And we lost to Fern Creek and then Cooper right after. And we knew, first off, we were beating Fern Creek pretty good. And then we gave it up at the end. I think they went on some 8-2 run and took the lead.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Cooper game was the game right after that. And I don't think I've ever lost 2 games in a row. So
Yeah.
that was a first for me. And just knowing that it's Cooper and you lost to them in the regional final the year before, it's a hard pill to swallow. And I knew in order for us to get to state this year, we'd have to beat them again. So I think looking back on it now, that game helped us because it motivated everyone just to.
Saying you guys losing that game helped you? Okay.
Yeah, it just motivated everyone more that, like, everyone was saying there's no way we can lose to Cooper again. So I think it helped us in the long run.
Now, how many times did you guys play Cooper this year? Because you guys played them more this year than you ever have, right?
I think it was 3 times this year.
Because you played them.
We played them at King of Bluegrass and then regular season and then the region final.
Gotcha.
Or semifinal.
Gotcha. Okay. So, Carlos, same question applies to you guys. What was that moment where you went through that struggle and your leadership skill? How did you help overcome that struggle?
I remember after we played CovCaf, which was like we lost the game, but it was like a solid, well-fought game, so we weren't that disappointed about it. And it was early in the season. We knew we were going to get better, so that wasn't a big problem for us. But the game after was against Sycamore, and it was one of those trap games where you just come from like a really big game where everyone wants to go see to like Sycamore at Sycamore. And I think it was on Tuesday night or something like that. So it was just one of those games where, like,
not a lot of people there.
Not a lot of people, not a lot of energy. You got to create your own stuff, and you got to know that, like, this is another opportunity for you to get better. And that's not what we did that night. And the coaches let us know at the end of the game. It was a close game against one of the teams that it shouldn't have been. It was around like a 10-point game. And so they.
And in some ways, you might have to consider that a loss.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it felt like. So it almost felt like back-to-back losses, like Aiden said. And so it kind of hurt us inside, and it made us like realize, like, hey, we can't be like that. That's not how we can play, because we're going to have games where they're going to be really tight, and we're going to have to really compete with these guys. We're also going to have games like this. And when we have these kind of games, it doesn't mean that we can't get better. And so I think that's one of the points in our season where we realize that every single game that we play is an opportunity to get better, and we need to take advantage of it. And so from that point on, I think we really stepped up on our scouting reports and just like overall effort towards every single game. And that's, I think, what made us so good and able to peak at the end of the season on March.
So let's talk about that game versus CovCaf. Now, I know you guys played AAU ball together, and Aiden's already ready to talk a little trash. So that to me, I was at that game. It was one of the biggest games in the city. Everyone had that game circled on both sides of the river. It was like two of the better teams are going at each other. There were college coaches galore there. NKU's coach, Xavier, Chris Mack before. He's with Louisville now. Travis Steele, who's currently the Xavier coach now, he was there. Just a lot of people were in the house from both sides of the river. That place was jumping. CovCaf's student section, which is, do they practice, by the way, the student section? They have to. They're so on point.
Yeah, we teach the freshmen all the cheers every year, but we don't have like actual practices.
I'm telling you, whenever I go to a CovCaf game, I almost want to go to the games where I know you guys are going to win, so I can kind of concentrate on the student section a little bit more, because it's always something very entertaining. Like, you get some kid that's like 350 pounds, like comes out and does like the sumo thing, and it has on shorts that are way too short and like glitter all over him. It's just fun, exciting to see. But all those elements together made for this to be one of the biggest games of the season. So Aiden, talk to me a little bit about that game there. And you guys know, and the big picture is you want to win a state championship, and you always want to go game to game, but that molar test is one that is a big test to tell you guys where you are. And it's also helpful, for making it to the state championship game. So talk about the energy in that game and just playing in that game.
The energy was crazy, first off, in that game. I know both sides stands were packed. There probably wasn't any seat open in
I had to stand. I was standing against the wall.
Yeah, so it was definitely a crazy atmosphere, and we knew we were playing a good opponent. I think you guys were ranked nationally before that.
Yeah, they were.
Like that, but
they were.
We knew that they were gonna do whatever it takes to win, and we just got lucky. We were hitting shots. We were playing good defense, so I guess we just came out that day. Okay.
How did Carlos play?
I rewatched the game, and there was actually one play where he blocked me.
He blocked you?
Yeah, I crossed him bad. The crowd went crazy.
Real bad.
Yeah, it was
not
real
too
bad.
bad. I was able to recover and I blocked the shot. I think we got a layup on that one.
It was good. Yeah, I had a wide open layup and then
we got a wide open layup.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I'm trying to remember this. Did he like just block it in the air? Did he pin it against the backboard?
I kind of jumped in the air, like do a floater, and I put it like above my head, and then his hand just happened to be right there and hit it.
He's not going to give you any real credit for it.
He had a nice crossover, but I was trying to steal it because I was reading it. Just don't do it again.
Just don't reach. Sorry.
So, Carlos, the rumor is you had an issue with the rims at Covcath for that game.
I mean, they were just made out of plastic, and so I thought that was kind of unfair. I remember at one point when I was on the bench, CJ went on through, he made 3 threes in a row. It was really impressive, but I remember, I think on 2 of them, one of them just rattled in. I was like, that probably wouldn't have gotten that molar. And then one hit the front, bounced, I kid you not, 2 feet in the air, and hit the back, hit the front again, and then went in. And the crowd went crazy. And it was one of those shots where you're just wow.
So was it like one of those rims at an AAU tournament where the court's kind of falling apart, the rim's bad?
I mean, it was just the rims, the court was nice, the rims were nice, but it was just they were so soft. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess that's just a Covcath thing.
Hey, you had to shoot on them too.
You guys played on them too. So.
Yeah, so I can't really complain. But
so talk us through the game a little bit. That was a big game for you guys as well.
Yeah, it was. I feel like for us, that was one of the first games that Jackson really came out and played his game and played with a lot of energy and was aggressive, which we needed against someone as big as Jake.
Yeah.
And so that was really important. I feel like Jeremiah did an amazing job that game, and Isaiah played well. Probably me and Alec, if we would have played a little bit better, the game would have had a different turnout. But I think that was all part of the process for the whole season. And that was just one of the steps that we had to make, and it helped us with making adjustments and things like that and getting ready for the next game. And it showed our weaknesses and also showed our strengths, and we took advantage of both. So.
Now, Jeremiah had some unbelievable dunks this year. I think he had an unbelievable dunk versus Covcath, didn't he? Didn't he have a monster dunk?
He did.
It was
He had a pretty good one.
It was nasty.
Yeah, it was on top of someone.
Who
we
was
still make fun of him.
Ah, that's right.
Junior.
Was it Davin or
Nick Thielen.
It was Thielen.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
You guys still let him know about that?
That's the name of our group chat.
What is it?
I can't say it on the air.
That's good stuff to know. Okay, so now let's get into, you guys have gotten through the season, and Carlos, what were you guys at the end of the regular season?
19-3.
19-3. Aiden, you remember?
Yeah, it was 35-4.
Okay, all right. So, man, you guys play a lot of games.
Regular season?
The regular season?
Oh no, that was whole season.
Regular season.
31-4.
Okay. All right, so we're getting into preparation for the tournament, okay? So going into basically what I say is a whole nother season.
Yeah.
You know, you're starting over. You're kind of throwing everything out because you lose, you're going home. You have to be prepared every night no matter who you play. Upsets happen. We see that NCAA tournament. Virginia saw that.
Yeah.
You're not ready, you're going home. And in my 20-plus years of watching and being a part of high school basketball, I've seen it over and over. So preparation leading into that is so very important. Carlos, what was your guys' mindset and what was the preparation going into the tournament?
Our first game of the tournament, we didn't take a bye, and so we wanted to just go on and just keep on playing for the rest of the season. Because we just feel like we're playing so well towards the end of the season, the bye kind of just kills your momentum, and we had enough guys playing that we didn't need a whole lot of rest. And so we just wanted to get in and just keep our mojo going.
Keep playing. Good.
And so that's what was our first decision. And we got past the first 2 games pretty easy, and our sectional game was against Withrow. And last year when we played Withrow, it was also sectional, and went down to the last shot. Isaiah hit a half-court shot to win the game.
Yep.
And that
was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. That was a crazy game, but it shouldn't have been that close. It was one of those games where I don't think we were really prepared as well as we should have been.
And by the way, so Coach O'Connell, who's the head coach of Withrow, is a friend of mine who I know very well. I saw him prior to you guys playing in that game, and Withrow was a good team last year. They probably, no offense to Withrow, but they probably shouldn't have been in that game that close with you guys last year. No offense to them, but when I saw Coach prior to playing you guys, he said, I got a game plan. I think we're going to be prepared. And part of me was like, you know, that's admirable. That's great you guys prepared. And then other part of me is like, there's no way you're going to be in that game. But that's back to, you got to be ready.
Yeah.
You got, and listen, Coach Kramer and the staff do an excellent job of preparing you guys game in and game out. But the players have to execute.
Yeah. That's very true, and that's one of the things that we kind of talked about in the locker room with the coaches not in there is like, hey, if you're not doing your film work, if you're not doing your prep work, and you don't know what's going on out there, you're killing us. We need 5 guys all playing defense and knowing the tendencies of every other guy that we're playing against, and we can't have anybody slacking or not doing it because that's how you get in games like that where you have to make a half-court shot to win it.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And so back to this season and the preparation. Excuse me, game in and game out, and you guys, you said you won the first 2 pretty easily.
Yeah, Harrison and Talawanda. So they were the last 2 teams to pick, and they had to pick us basically. So I would have stayed away from us too. And
then after that you had.
And then after that we had Withrow, and we beat them pretty handily.
Yep.
And I felt really good about that because that was one of those games where last year it was kind of a nightmare, and this year we did our job and everyone felt good about it. And so that was a good game to end the sectionals on, and then we went on to play district against Fairmont State, which I had a lot of respect for personally because they were playing a different style of basketball, and just watching film, they were unbelievable shooters.
Yeah.
They were probably the hottest team in the tournament at that time, just the way they were shooting the ball. They played Miamisburg before and lost them 2 times during the season, and in the sectional game they beat them by 25.
Wow.
So they were a really big challenge for us, and I think once we got by them, we knew that we really had a chance for this.
Yeah.
They were a really tough team.
At that moment, you were like, okay, wait a minute, we could really do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we beat a team like that, I was like, okay, now this is serious.
And then the next game you guys had
Springfield, and then when we beat them during the season pretty handily, and we did so the same at Xavier, and then we played Wayne, which I thought was a really good competition.
Yes.
One of the best teams in the state, and I think we just executed really well that game, and that's kind of what separated us from them.
I watched Wayne for a couple games prior to playing you guys, and Wayne was one of the best teams that I'd seen all year. Prior to them playing you guys, I mean, they looked really good.
Yeah, we saw it too.
They were engaged. They were high-fiving on the bench it was like, man, this is going to be a tough game for Moeller. But back to what you said, execution, I believe, won that game. They got frustrated at some point. You guys were executing that. That's one thing with basketball. If you execute, run your stuff, and you're very methodical and do it, it frustrates the other team. They start to lose hope. And I think there was a time in that game where some of the Wayne guys were chipping at each other a little bit.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen that before. And I'm like, that's a result of the execution. They're all looking around where were you? Get help, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to come back. Let's leave it there because then it leads to the state game. Aiden, on to you, your guys' preparation going into the state, and lead us through the steps and the journey leading up to the state championship game.
All right, so first, going into state, we just beat Cooper, so everyone was happy about that. We were playing our best basketball. The first game we played, it was Apollo. We kind of took them lightly, but we prepared as we would any other game. We knew that they weren't as talented as we were, and so we beat them pretty handedly. And then second round, I think, second round was Fern Creek, and we knew they were good. We lost to them early in the season.
Yep.
And
revenge game.
Yeah. So that was probably the one game, if we beat them, we felt like we could definitely win state. So after we won that, we played Oldham County, who wasn't very good. I don't know how they got that far, but they weren't very good. And we beat them. And then who was it? What's the red team? Who did we play in the final?
In the final game?
Yeah.
Don't get to the final game yet.
All right.
Okay, let's stop right there.
Scott County.
Scott County.
Back, yeah, you forgot who you play. We'll come back to that.
Greatest memory of my life. It was
Right.
amazing. Who'd you play?
I don't remember. He went the red team.
Yeah.
But so take us back. I do not want to go past that Cooper game. I was there for that. That was a huge game.
Yeah.
A lot leading into that game. And no offense to any of you guys, Adam Kunkel is one of the best high school players that I've watched in Northern Kentucky in a long time, consistently. I mean, he did some amazing things this season. I went to the Newport game, and he had a triple-double. He was like Westbrook out there. He was very, very impressive, and I know you're, probably friends with him and know him pretty well, and you respect his game. But that's a game. I went into that game, Aiden, and I'm going, Covcath should win this game, but if Adam decides I'm going to drop 45 or 50 points, which he's capable of doing, Cooper could win this basketball game. So you guys getting past Cooper, like you said, was really, really big for you guys. Now, did you guard Adam very much?
I did a little bit. That wasn't really my main guy. I guard Chris McNeil.
Yeah.
But we had Casey Nowak, who's pretty much just our defensive man. We can put him on anyone, and he pretty much stopped him. But as a whole, our team, we all keyed on Kunkel, and we knew in order for us to win, we had to stop him because he's pretty much their only offensive threat. And the second after we lost the first time, he went off. We pretty much put Casey on him, and I know Casey probably spent hours studying film, studying his game. So as long as everyone else. So just with all that, we were able to. We didn't stop him. I think he's still at 18.
Yeah,
but
he's tough.
We definitely limited him, and we were able to win.
Yeah, without a doubt. That leads me to this question here I want to ask. Who was the toughest player you had to guard besides Carlos
This year?
Garcia? Yes.
I would say, I don't know, there's a lot of them. Fern Creek's point guard, I know his name. I forget it, either him or I would say Isaiah from Moeller. Isaiah, I don't know why, but he's just tough to stay in front of.
He's crafty.
Yeah, he's fast.
He's crafty.
Yeah.
Hence the nickname. He kind of puts you to sleep sometimes.
Yeah, he does.
He's kind of like he runs down the court like this, and then he's gone. I just watched him in the All-Star game the other night, and God, he was doing the same thing, putting them to sleep and blowing by him. Yeah. Carlos, toughest person you had to guard?
We played some kids. Well, toughest person around here, that would probably, or that in Ohio, was probably the Final Four, Lorraine. I don't even remember what his name is, but he was the guard for Lorraine. He was probably one of their only scoring threats, and he was good. No, all right, scratch that. Definitely toughest person, state finals, Sincere Carey.
Okay.
That, he was.
Now, where's he going?
I have no idea, but he was going somewhere D2. I think he decommitted and is going D1 now, but
okay.
That kid was. I remember coming down after hitting a three, feeling all good. There's a crossover, Hezzies, and then just pulls up in my face, hits one right back, and I was like,
tough to.
Yeah, and I watched him against Pick Central too, and he had like 29 that game. He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a real good.
Well, the funny thing is, and this might be different for you guys, but one of the things that I found when I was in college, and obviously I was a walk-on, so I wasn't one of the best players, but night in and night out, I had to be on the scout team. I was the practice squad, so I had to guard my teammates. And I had this teammate named Steve Logan. You guys might not have heard of him, but Steve Logan's from Cleveland, and he's one of the toughest guys I've ever had to guard. He wasn't athletic. He was, maybe 6 feet tall. Some people say he was a little overweight, which he was sometimes. He wasn't in the greatest shape. Well, I'm telling you, man, he was so tough to guard because I would study his tendencies. And this is like my teammate, but I'm on the practice squad, so like I'm literally just watching this guy. Okay, like, all right, if I push him this way, at what point is he going to step back? How many dribbles does he take before he pulls up? Does he like to pull up, left hand pull up? Like, I would study it, and there was just like no rhyme or reason. Like, it was just impossible to figure out what he was going to do. And there were times, and this I'm just telling you this because this might not be true for you, but there were times I go to practice and I go, oh Lord, I gotta guard this dude today. Like I'm gonna get absolutely like scorched. And think about this, I had to go against like Ruben Patterson was 6'7". I had to guard that dude. He ends up going to pro. I had to guard him for, gosh, maybe half a season one time. But I worried more about Steve Logan because just the way he, just no rhyme or reason. Like with Ruben, I knew he was going to take you down this way, turn left shoulder, so I can kind of swipe at the ball. But he was just like really tough to guard. So that's why I wanted to get your guys' opinion on guys that were tough to guard. But let's jump into the actual state championship game. All right, so biggest game of the season for many of you, the biggest game of your life. Here it is. You're there. Aiden, how are you feeling going into that game? Do you have a good feeling like, yeah, we got this? Was there a lot of nervousness, butterflies?
I know our whole team was definitely nervous. We went into that game pretty confident because we knew that Trinity was going to be the harder opponent probably out of the two, and then them losing first round kind of helped us. And we knew that our matchups with them were a lot better. And if we played our game, there was no way they could stop us. And if we played our defense, then we should win single or pretty good. And so I think going into it, we were all pretty nervous, but we knew that we put in the work throughout the season to win it, and we did.
At what point in the game did you look up at the scoreboard or look in the stands or look at your teammates, look at your dad, the coach, and go, we've won this game? Like, I am a state champion.
End of the third quarter is when it started coming to my mind that, we're actually going to win this. And I tried my hardest just to get it out so I could focus on finishing the game, because I know when you get this far, you can't take any plays off.
Right.
And I know they're a great opponent. So it came after the third quarter, but I tried to get out of my head, but it didn't help.
But and you guys ended up winning it all.
Yep.
Carlos, game's here. You guys are back in the same situation you were the year before. You cannot let that happen again, Carlos. You cannot let you get all the way to the championship game and lose a heartbreaking game. What is your thought, nervousness, butterflies? What's going through your mind going in that game?
Honestly, I don't think any of us were really that nervous about the game. After our game, they played after us, so we got back to the hotel and just watched their game. And we watched them come back from a 10-point lead against Pick Central and basically just pick them apart in the second half. And we all watched them and was like, okay, that's why they're the #1 team in Ohio. Like,
right.
We watched Carey have the 29-point game, probably one of the best high school games I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of respect for him, but that didn't mean we were nervous or scared of him at all. Quite the contrary. We knew what we had to do to win. And we knew that they were a good team, but we also knew like what they needed to do to win, and we were going to take that all away. And so we came in with a really good game plan, and kind of talking about like the Fairmont team that we played, they were pretty much the Fairmont 2.0, and the way they were shooting, except they had a lot better point guard. But everyone else was basically the same in being able to shoot the ball, and so our defensive strategy was almost the same as Fairmont, so it was kind of good that we were able to win that game, and we knew what we needed to do to win.
Right.
And so when the game came along, we just all executed and did our role, and we knew that it was probably the fourth quarter, give or take, when we realized that we were gonna actually win this. And we were talking on the bench hey, just stay locked in until the final buzzer comes off. But I know for me, because I just wanted to stay locked in and just live every single moment. It wasn't until that I sat down for the last time and we got to put our seniors in that I really realized wow, we just won a state championship. We're the best team in the state, and that was a really great feeling. Yeah. Yep.
And you put yourself in a special category.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we all did.
Absolutely. So, all right. You're state champs, you put your medals on, get your trophies, everybody shows you love, people sliding in your DMs, all that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
But the party's not over. It's now time to prepare for college. And I want to talk about your college commitment, how you decided to pick that school, your preparation as far as like what do I need to do to be prepared, to play college basketball. So Aiden, I'm going to start with you. Tell everyone what school you're going to, how you decided on that.
I'm going to Christian Brothers University in Memphis, and I decided that in this past AAU season, going into my senior year, my coach that I played with had connections with the coach at Christian Brothers, so he talked to him. He came down to a couple games, and I guess he liked what he saw because he offered me. But I think it was just all the hard work that I put in the last couple years to getting my game where I wanted to be, and Christian Brothers was really the first team to show me some love in recruiting and actually recruiting me pretty hard. And so after getting the offer, it was a pretty easy choice because that was pretty much the only school that was really pursuing me pretty hard.
Now, why so early? Everyone picks a different time to make their decision. Why so early? Because not a lot of kids go with the first couple schools that offer them, but you did.
I just wanted to get it over with before my senior year, honestly, just so I could completely put all my focus into the season and not have to worry about coaches or colleges. So I just wanted to get it over with before my season so I could put all my energy into my senior season at Covcath.
Do you feel that if you did make that decision early during the season, you'd be thinking a lot about schools, and it would add a little bit of stress to you that would take away from winning a state championship?
I think it's a possibility because I know when I'm getting looked at by schools, like I want to be known as like a scorer or like make harder plays harder than they have to be. And I think in order for me to play my senior season like I did, like selfless, knowing the plays I had to make, I think that committing early helped out a lot.
Right, gotcha. So Carlos, your situation is different than Aiden. You chose to wait a little bit later.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us where you're going and why you chose to wait a little bit later.
Yeah, I'll be going to Hanover College on the river of Indiana.
Great school.
Yeah, and it's got some really good. The coaching staff is unbelievable there, and just like the overall program seems to be going up a lot. And so hopefully I get to be a part of a championship.
The rumor is that they recruited you to play there harder than they've recruited any other player since that staff's been there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the Moeller coaches said that I was one of the top recruited from one school.
Yeah.
Than any other player in the entire program.
That's got to make you feel good, man.
Yeah, it did. And I mean, that's probably one of the main reasons that I went there. It's
sure.
Just if a team wants you so much, then kind of makes you want to go there a little bit more. And
yeah.
But yeah, I waited towards the end of the season waited till the season ended actually until I made my final decision. And I just felt that I wanted to like make sure I was like available and kept my options open. But at the same time, I didn't really let it affect my playing at all. I tried to like remain like selfless and like be able to like follow my role and not like step outside of like what the team needed me to do.
Right.
Just because like my college recruitment was open. And so I think that I handled that pretty well. But when the season ended, I kind of knew that Hanover was the right choice for me. And there were a couple other schools that were looking at me too. But I just had a feeling that they didn't really want me. They just kind of like would have liked me. And Hanover just loved me. And that's why I decided to go there.
Yeah. I think you guys picked different times to make your decision, but both of you made the right decision. And I'll bring it back to girls. Sometimes you've got that girl, Aiden, that really wants to date you bad, right? You get that a lot. But sometimes
I got my voice.
So you get that girl who really wants to date you really bad. And then, Aiden, there might be another girl that you want to date really bad, but she's not really feeling you just yet, right? That probably doesn't happen too much to you. But Carlos seems to do. Carlos taking shots at you.
He likes to talk a lot. I don't know.
He does. He's taking shots at you. But sometimes it's better to go with the girl that really wants you. There's something to be said about that. And the same thing goes to you're smiling, Carlos.
I've never had that experience before.
You've never had that where you've got a girl who really. So you're saying, okay, you're saying that the girl you want, the girl that you want wants you really bad. Is that what you're saying?
Always.
Okay, anyway, do you believe that, Aiden?
He has a girlfriend.
I do. So I guess
Emily?
it worked out.
Is that her name?
Damn, you are putting his stuff in the streets.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
Did you hear him?
I did. You want to shout out our IG?
I don't know.
Handle?
If I did, I would. But if I knew it, I would. But I don't,
Are
I
you
don't know.
following his girlfriend on Instagram?
No, I'm gonna have to though.
You better not.
Slide in her DMs. So you're a state champion too. All right, so let's jump off basketball a little bit, and I want to dive into an area of some pop culture stuff. You know, we've talked enough basketball. I want to talk a little bit about music, because music is such a big thing within the basketball culture, right? So you look at what you listen to before big games, what you listen to while you warm up as a team, and it's just, there's so many soundtracks to team season. Like, you know, at UC, we had a song, I'm not going to say the song and the artist, but we had a song that was kind of like the theme of our team. We'd play it before every game. We'd rap it before we come into the huddle. So music has always been such a huge part of basketball. Carlos, before the state championship game, you're getting focused. You've got your headphones on before the game. All right, do you have Beats, or you probably just regular,
No, just
regular headphones? What are you listening to?
I listen to two things. I listen to Spanish music, kind of like Despacito and like all those songs like that, and that got me hyped up. And then I listen to "Wanna Be a Baller," which was a classic.
Great song.
It's a great
So
song.
you want to be a
baller.
There we go.
College.
Aiden, are you familiar with this?
I've heard the song, but I don't know it very well.
It's
Okay.
awesome. It's a great song. But yeah, those two songs definitely got me ready to go. And it was funny. You talked about like music and in the huddle and stuff. I remember it was like when Drake and Future dropped that album. What was it called?
Their collab album.
Their collab
What a Time to
album
Be
with the
Alive.
Diamonds.
Is that it?
What a time.
Yeah, that one. And
Yep.
so one of the songs, Big Rings, was like
Yeah.
on there. And I was like, when I listened to it, I was like, that's like what I want to like listen to after I win the state championship.
For
Like,
sure.
I want to do that. So we get in the locker room after winning a little bit, and like we're all hyped up and everything. And someone's like, "Where's the speaker? Where's the speaker?" So we get a speaker going. I'm like, "Let me play the song real quick." So I play it, and no one gets hyped except for me. And I was like, I dreamed of this moment, and it didn't turn out the way I wanted.
That is funny. That
But
is.
yeah, no, you listen to the lyrics and it's like fits in perfectly. But I guess
Absolutely.
no one, it was too old at that point. If we would have won like freshman or sophomore year,
It would have made sense. Yeah, it would have
but-
tied in. Yeah. You know, one thing, Drake is good at that. He's good at making like soundtracks for events.
Yeah.
Like basketball teams pick up on his songs. So you listen to Spanish music sometimes to
do.
get you hyped.
Sure.
Aiden smiled really big when you said that. You ever listen to Spanish music before a game? Aiden?
Never. I can never see myself listening to Despacito before a game. If I'm being honest.
I can't see you listening to it either.
No, I can't.
What do you listen to? State championship game, big game.
There's one song, like you said, for your season had one song. There's one song for us. It's called "No Smoke" by I think Young NBA or someone.
Okay.
Someone.
I've never even heard of this dude. His name is Young NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta look this guy up.
It's
I can already picture what he looks like. Does he have dreads that are like pink and yellow?
no,
Okay, because that seems to be
you're
the.
talking about 69.
No, I'm just talking about like
Oh, you're just talking about
all the
like,
people
rappers.
now.
all
Yeah.
the people now.
Yeah,
all-
everybody love them now.
tattoo on the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
But yeah, there was like Kunkel. Someone made a mixtape for him, and they played that song in the background, and we like sent it in our group message like saying like just it was just like all hyping him up. So we pretty much just took that song and made that for our like
So he's in your group?
no
Adam's not in your group?
no.
Okay.
But like we just sent that like just everyone watched that and we heard the song and just made that our song for the year.
Gotcha. So what song did you listen to? Like what was the one song before the state championship game that got you hyped?
I'm gonna say Dreams and Nightmares by Meek Mill.
Okay, that was the Sixers and
Yeah.
the Eagles.
I like that.
Yeah. Now apparently Meek Mill's getting released today.
Today?
Yes, apparently.
I heard it was soon.
Apparently it was supposed to be today, so we'll see what the judge says. But free Meek Mill, right? You guys were like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Let's talk about style a little bit. And Aiden, I don't know if you noticed this, but Carlos has about 100 different bracelets with beads on.
I did notice that,
which
actually.
I am sure they have some sort of significance.
They all do.
Can you explain? Because this is part of your style here.
It is.
And you look great too, by the way. You've
Thank
got
you, I
the
appreciate it.
joggers, but go ahead.
Well, I was gonna wear shorts today, but then it started snowing in the middle of April.
How about that? It was 80 degrees the other day,
It was.
and it's snowing and 36 today.
It's awful.
Cincinnati. Go ahead. Your
So,
bracelets.
I got this one. This one was just like, this is the only one that really didn't have a whole lot of meaning. I
Okay.
had like an anchor one before, and so I thought like another anchor one would be cool. And this one's like my probably coolest looking in my opinion, and the one I like the most.
Okay.
This one I got on retreat, which is another anchor,
Okay.
and that was like to hold down like your faith and things like that.
Okay.
This one's like yin and yang, so like a balance in your life. And there used to be a tree of life on it, but that fell off. So now it's just like balancing your life yin and yang, and then it's got like this little thing, which I like.
Yep.
This one right here is like Year of the Dragon, and that's like the year I was born. This one is like lava rocks that were from Puerto Rico, so like kind of
Yep.
like represent where I'm from.
Yep.
And then this one I have a matching bracelet with my girlfriend.
Save the best for last, right? Once again,
Wow.
Aiden said, wow. Aiden, will you ever have this look here? With
I have 2 bracelets. No meaning, just bracelets.
what are the 2 bracelets here? We got an orange one.
This is
Come on, Dave.
my dad. My dad bought these. I don't know why. It's like the LeBron James Family Foundation. He always wears these.
Okay.
So I guess he just bought them to support LeBron's foundation.
Okay.
And then my brother, he made these. It's Heart Over Height Hoops. It's like his basketball company. So
Okay.
he made these, and I just found it and wearing it.
Okay. Cool. So no beads though?
No
you don't
beads.
Seem, you don't seem like a
no
bead
girlfriend.
guy. Yeah, I
bracelets.
can't see you wearing the girlfriend.
I used to
beads.
have one.
From your girlfriend?
Yeah.
You wait. So wait.
So you just
You just made
laughed
fun
at
of
me.
him, but yet you did it.
Well, I had it. I didn't wear it that much because it broke, but it broke, and then I had to buy a new one.
So when
before she
it-
found
So
out
you
it
bought
broke.
2. Wow.
So wait a minute, when it
They weren't
broke,
cheap either.
did that end the relationship?
No.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if that was
You
like
bought
a
2, remember?
yeah. All right.
That's crazy.
All right. So let's venture out of style, back to music a little bit. So every podcast that I do here for the Basketball Insider, I play a Big Daddy Kane song. You guys are probably not familiar with Big Daddy Kane. Okay, Big Daddy Kane is an iconic rapper from the 90s. He had this beautiful box haircut with parts in it and all kind of big jewelry. He's what a rapper should look like. Not pink dreads and tattoos on their face.
I agree.
He looked like a rapper from New York City, right? One of my favorite all-time rappers until Jay-Z came along. Which leads me to talk about the GOAT. We talked about being a GOAT earlier, right? So Jay-Z, in my opinion, is the greatest rapper of all time, like ever. And anytime I get into debate about it, I very rarely ever lose. I just want to let you guys know that I have so many statistics that can back up why Jay-Z is the greatest. The only time
Did you like 444?
I did a lot.
A lot.
A
Really?
lot. I thought that album was great because it showed growth. I mean, think about this. This guy has, 13 studio albums as a solo artist? After 13 albums, or after 12, what then do you rap about? You're a billionaire. You've got one of the most beautiful women in the world. You have 3 kids. You have homes everywhere in America. I mean, what do you rap about? Because his first album ever, Reasonable Doubt, in Life and Time of Sean Carter, talked about a culture in which he grew up in Marcy Projects in Brooklyn, New York, that was gang-infested, drugs and all this. He no longer lives that life. He lives a totally different life now. So if you look at the book and albums, Reasonable Doubt and then 444, you look at that, it's almost like the bookends of his life right now, from poverty to riches. And now he's at a point where what was so great about that album was I felt like he was kind of putting everybody that grew up in the type of environment he did onto what made him successful. Like if you follow this blueprint, like if you follow this script, you could do what you want to do, but you need to listen to this. That's why I thought the album, I'm sorry I went off because
No, it's
Jay-Z.
okay.
That's why I thought the album was so great. You apparently didn't like it. This from what I'm getting from this tone.
I just didn't. I didn't listen to it a lot. I remember listening to it one time through, and I was just like, Not really any songs that really stuck out to me. And I mean, there was one song. It was one of the more popular ones on the album that was good. But every single other song just I didn't really get a feel for.
One day I'll break it down for you. It's an album that it's not going to probably sonically, musically do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really break down the meanings behind the double entendres of his lyrics, you'd probably go, holy crap, that's crazy. That's super impressive. But to me, he is the GOAT. The only time I will back down on Jay-Z being the GOAT is when people tell me Tupac's the GOAT. I'm a big Tupac fan. I think he's one of the greatest rappers of all time. Now, listen, I come from a different generation, right? I don't expect you guys to think Jay-Z's the greatest of all time. I don't even want you guys to think Jay-Z's the greatest or Tupac. But I want to know, Aiden, we're going to start with you. I want to know who you think is the greatest rapper of all time, the GOAT, according to Aiden Rousseff.
The GOAT, according to me, would have to be Drake.
Okay. Why?
I think, like you said, with Jay-Z, he's changed a lot. Like when he started out in his music, he started like, I don't know, it was like slower, like R&B.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's changed in a couple of his albums and he's brought it back. So I think he's brought music to every genre pretty much.
True.
And I think just other than the music, everything he's done, he's definitely the GOAT.
He's created kind of his own lane.
Yeah.
Because there are times that he makes a song and I'm like, what category do you put that in? Because it's not really rap. It's a little too much for like R&B or smooth. It's just kind of in its own lane. Mm-hmm. And I think and you hit it on the head to where Drake's music, in my opinion, is getting better. Like at the beginning, I thought Drake was awful. I'm like, this is really bad stuff. But then I think he's made music that I appreciate more and more, and that's the evolution. So, by the time he makes his 13th studio album, which he's probably on track to do, it'll probably be a way different album than you heard the first album. Yeah. So that does make sense. So, Carlos, your GOAT.
My GOAT. I would say like most influential would probably be like Kanye West.
Okay.
Just because I think he's like a part of like everything like that's going on in society. Like there's always like a little bit of Kanye in there.
Uh-huh.
He talks about like all that stuff. And then like just lyrically based off of music and like sonic like you talked about, I think J. Cole. Just like what I want to hear, like I could not get tired of listening to him.
Yeah.
That's so, and I think that like is what he's good at. So
yeah, J. Cole lyrically is always, it's like you hear his song, like there's some Drake songs, no offense to Drake, but they're Drake songs you just listen to hear the music.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, that's bouncy, that's a good track. But with J. Cole, it's like almost every song, there's lyrical content that you just have to, you have to dive into.
Yeah, kind of like what you do with that like whole Jay-Z album. Like I've done that with
Absolutely.
like the albums that J. Cole has like brought out ever since like from Dollar in a Dream, things like that, all the way up to what he's at now, For Your Eyes Only, like all that stuff. Every single song that he produces, there's something, there's a reason why he wrote it. It's not just to get people dancing in the club or something. Like there's a reason to everything, and I think that's cool.
Absolutely. And that's how, you're right, that's how I feel about Jay-Z. And as big a Jay-Z fan as I am, and Jay-Z's one of the few people I have not met personally yet, which I plan to, hopefully to do one day. I know every Jay-Z song, from Reasonable Doubt all the way to the current album. And still to this day, I was with somebody, I think it was last year, and I was in LA. And I was breaking down some Jay-Z stuff to a younger person in LA. And my buddy was with me who's closer to my age. And I was telling him about Reasonable Doubt. And my buddy said something about a lyric in Reasonable Doubt. And I was like, wait, what'd you say? And he broke down a lyric. And I'm like, whoa, I have never heard, I never heard that. So 20 years later, I just discovered something of a song I'd heard hundreds of times that I loved. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's deep. That's what I love about the Jay-Z's, the J. Cole's, the Kendrick, and Drake is like that at times, where you discover their music and you discover their lyrics later on. And listen, Drake dropped God's Plan, and he had a part in his song which was strategic. That part where if you played it right now at a basketball game, Carlos, what's going to happen?
The whole crowd, all the student section, and even the players would just start singing along to it.
Yep. And that was strategic on his part. I mean, that was set up. I don't know if it was the producer said, "Hey, we got to have something right here," or he said, "Let's do this because everyone in America is going to stop and sing this part, so the music needs to stop," which is genius. That's the genius part of music. So, all right, so we've got our GOAT stuff out of the way real quick, and I think this debate is getting closer. We talk about basketball GOATs. I come from the generation of Michael Jordan, and as long as I'm walking this earth, I'm going to always say Michael Jordan's the GOAT. But obviously, you've had Kobe Bryant and now currently LeBron James. So, Aiden, I want to know in your opinion, Michael Jordan's career is over. His statistics are laid out. Kobe Bryant, his career is over. His statistics are laid out. We're still watching the movie of LeBron James. Who do you think is the GOAT? And who do you think will end up the GOAT?
The GOAT, I think, is LeBron. And I think he will end up the GOAT because the things he's accomplished so far is incredible, and he still has a couple more seasons in him. I think the things that he's put up for each team, because I know he brought, even when he was a rookie or the younger part of his career, he brought up Cleveland even when they're pretty bad.
Terrible,
yeah, they were terrible, and he still brought them so far. And then he took Miami there too, and now he's back in Cleveland doing the same thing. So I just think to always be in the finals, to always get that far, it takes some greatness, and I think he's definitely the reason for that.
So you say LeBron is the GOAT right now.
Yeah.
And if you were to say he's the GOAT because, and you had one thing to put out there that would make everyone in the room believe LeBron's the GOAT, it would be?
I would say his passing, because obviously he can score whenever, but his passing can just kill any defense.
Okay.
Because I know if you're in the NBA, you're going to be able to score, and he's going to find his teammates, and with that, the double threat of him scoring and passing, I think it's unstoppable.
Okay. Carlos.
I'd have to agree. I think LeBron is just like
Currently?
Currently is just the most overpowering player like in history. And there's like one thing about LeBron that I noticed when I watch him play is that like if he wants to get to a spot on the court and do something, you can't stop it.
Okay.
You can slow him down as much as you want. You can send two guys, but maybe not like he can't put the ball in every single time or else they'd be undefeated. But if he wants to get to any spot on the court, he has the physical ability and the skill to get to that spot. And that's something that like is taken for granted kind of like in the game. But like if you really can just do that whenever you want, it's kind of hard to beat.
Okay. I want to put this out there for you guys. I'm not a firm believer that statistics make you the GOAT. Okay. I think there are other things that make you the GOAT. So I think there have been players that have come along that have had great statistics.
Yeah, because I mean, Katie's in the conversation if you're talking about it as well.
If you talk about statistics, absolutely. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, look how many points that dude scored, right?
Yeah.
So statistics to me don't tell the whole story. I think what tells the story for me and what makes Michael Jordan the greatest ever, and I don't think we'll ever see anything like that. And listen, LeBron's story, we're still watching it. It's still being written. If you look at Michael Jordan's crunch time statistics, or just his moments when it really counted, there's no one in the history of basketball that's consistently been as good as him in the biggest moments. And to me, that's what makes someone the GOAT. I mean, if you look at, and I'm kind of taking a shot at LeBron a little bit, but in the past, you look at big moments, and LeBron is passing the ball, okay, which you say is one of his attributes, which I agree with you. I don't want my GOAT passing the ball. I want my GOAT winning the game. Now, if you create something offensively to where you're getting doubled and you're shifting the defense, and Steve Kerr's wide open for the three-pointer to win the championship, you damn right you better pass it there. But if you've got single coverage, you've got to take it. And I think LeBron in the past, and I hate to, criticize him about the past, but it's part of his history. He's done that too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see how many more years he can play. What is he in the 15th season?
Yeah, I think it's 13.
I think it's 15th. I think this is his 15th season.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable shape. He puts a lot of money into his body,
Yeah.
which you should.
Yeah.
You're getting paid that much money.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I heard somebody say this on TV, last year sometime. I thought it was brilliant. So, Aiden, if I give you a $1 million car, okay? What's your favorite color? Red?
Sure.
So sorry. If I give you $1 million red car, all right? Chromed out wheels, you've got the sound system, TV screens in there, you've got everything. This car goes 0 to 100 real fast. Anything you want, right?
Yep.
What type of gas do you put in that car? You don't put the cheap gas in there. You put the best possible gas, right? If it's rain outside, you park that sucker in the garage. You probably got a thing over top of it, right? You've got a custom detail on the inside, right? You're taking care of that $1 million car, right?
Yeah.
But yet in turn, our body and our body parts are worth way more than $1 million. But yet we don't treat our bodies and ourselves like we would $1 million. Am I right?
Yeah.
In some case, we sometimes are. And I saw someone breaking this down on TV. I'm like, holy moly, like that is true. Think about what we put in our body opposed to what you put in that tank and how you take care of yourself. So credit to LeBron James for what he's doing conditioning-wise. I mean, the dude doesn't get hurt. And at times it just doesn't look like he gets tired when everyone else is exhausted. So it's going to be interesting to see, how he finishes his story.
I think one guy to look at in the next 10 years is Anthony Davis.
Okay. Tell me why.
I think he is just a different kind of player. And just watching him now in the playoffs, I mean, he was doing everything from driving to the lane, catching alley-oops, step back jumpers, hitting threes. His game has just evolved so much. I think it's evolving the game of basketball itself. And I know, I talked about LeBron being dominant and everything like that. And that's how I personally rate my greatest of all time, is whoever can just do what they want whenever they want to. And that's what Michael Jordan did in his era, and that's what LeBron James has been doing. But I feel like Anthony Davis is one of those guys that is coming to a point where no one's going to be able to stop him. And then defensively, he's an unbelievable rim protector.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think there's many guys that in the league that, or in history, that could match up to him.
Okay, that's good. Aiden, do you have somebody else?
On the come up, I would say Kyrie. I mean, I know he's already up there, but I think just in the future, he's going to keep getting better, and I think he's going to be an unstoppable point guard in the future.
What do you think about his durability? I'm starting to question that, though, because, he got hurt in college, and now he's hurt again.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully he'll be like LeBron and put a lot of money into his body. so
right.
He doesn't
He's gonna
get
have
hurt.
to.
Yeah. But I think if he stays healthy and everything, he could be really good.
So what about, let me put this on the table, what about Ben Simmons? I mean, we talk about LeBron, and if you talk about anybody in the league having similar characteristics of LeBron, bigger guard, strong, can pass the ball, right? Can score, monster dunks. You guys trust in the process with him or what?
I think he is one of the most entertaining players to watch right now.
Okay.
Just because you just see what he does and you're like, did he just do that? Did he just do a right-handed hook shot?
Yeah.
Just left-handed?
Right.
That just looks so easy, and he just did it. And it's one of those players that you just watch and you're just in awe. But until he starts winning basketball games at a consistent rate, I haven't seen that yet, and that's a big part of what I think is being the greatest is if you're great, then you're winning. So
okay. Aiden, your thoughts on Simmons?
Watching him this season, it's his first season, so I mean he's definitely balled out this season, and I think just watching him play in the last couple of games, you can tell that he wants to win. He's a true competitor, and him with all the skill sets he has and wanting to win so bad, I think he could definitely be really good in the future.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Now, so I love the NBA. All right, we don't have an NBA franchise here in Cincinnati, so kind of my adopted team is the Pacers. I'm not a huge Pacers fan, but I enjoy going to the Pacers games to watch other teams. I have some buddies in the NBA, so I go up and watch them when they play the Pacers. So who do you guys have this year winning it all? Or who do you see in the, let me ask, who do you see in the finals and who you have winning the finals in the NBA?
I don't think Golden State's going to make it.
You don't?
I don't. I think either.
Really?
I think either Houston
Okay.
or OKC is going to be in the finals. And then from the East, I think it'll either be the Cavs or I think it's the Cavs, honestly. Even though they say they're going through rough times and stuff like that. I mean, they're just too good not to make it that far. And I would have said the Celtics, but
Kyrie being out.
Kyrie being out, that's tough.
Yep.
And I would especially say the Celtics if Hayward was there. I mean, I think they would have been a really good team to watch this year.
Okay.
They both would have been on.
So let's just say you've got Houston or OKC.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you pick? Houston?
Probably Houston, yeah.
Houston? Okay. Versus the Cavs.
Houston.
Houston's going to win it.
Mm-hmm.
Harden, MVP?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Harden should be MVP this year.
Okay. Did he travel last night? Did you see that?
Yeah, he did.
He traveled,
I
right?
mean, when you're great, you can do great things. You said Isaiah Thomas carries the ball every single time he dribbles.
He does. Well, the NBA is different than any other level.
Because there's a lot of leniency.
Well, it's a superstars league.
Yeah.
So if you're in a superstars league, you're going to let superstar. Magic Johnson carried the ball. Like, I love Magic Johnson. He carried the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan physically did things to offensive players that should be considered. But it's a superstar league.
Yeah.
College is a coaches league. So they're going to call it travel. They're going to call an offensive foul. I don't care if you're Kemba Walker. They don't care if you're whoever it might be. Mm-hmm. You know, the best player in college basketball.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to yours, Aiden. The finals.
My finals is the same. I think Houston and the Cavs.
Wow.
I don't think Golden State's gonna make it.
Wow. Okay.
I just think they got too many weapons right now.
They're playing well.
The way they're playing, you can't guard it. It's literally whether or not they come in and play the way that they can play. If they do every night, or not every night, but consistently, you can't guard the way they play.
So you know their coach was criticized for a long time prior to the last couple seasons for his philosophy.
Yeah.
All right. So his philosophy would not fly at Moeller High School.
No, it would not.
His philosophy, Aiden, is you either shoot a three-pointer or you're taking it in for a layup. Like all the mid-range stuff, leave that at home.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need any of that here. It's 3 or 2. And a good story, I know Chris Paul, and Chris Paul's best friends with one of my best friends, so I've had a chance to talk to Chris Paul on several occasions, and he was telling a story at my buddy's wedding. Chris Paul was telling me and some of the friends was telling a story at a wedding we were at. And Chris Paul is notorious for breaking down the defense and getting to the middle lane.
Mid-range pull-up, yeah.
Right? So how do you think that went over the first couple of workouts? Not very well. Coach had to pull him aside and said, leave that at home. Like, you either pull up or all the way. And, you know, they kind of had to get to know each other and get a feel for each other. But it's something that coach, I mean, he was a little bit ahead of his time as far as that's concerned, because basketball's starting to go that way, you know, more and more. And basketball has changed. You brought up Anthony Davis. Think about all these big players that are playing skill positions on the wing.
Cat.
Exactly. Like, that's the wave of the new big man. Karl Anthony Towns can bring the ball up the court, can do a spin move, hit you with a hezzy, Euro step. Like, dude is enormous. His feet are like, that's the wave. I mean, basketball is changing.
Yeah.
Basketball will look different when you guys are out of college than it does now.
I think so.
It's just the way it is. Last question I have for you. Carlos, we'll start with you. If you were a rapper, okay, if you were I could see you being a SoundCloud rapper, first of all.
I can see that too.
Carlos, yeah. And I could see you actually blowing up, because I think you could get a fan base in that Mason area. Like, I feel like you've got Mason on lock. Like, that whole area, like
I mean, I got some boys who make some tracks, so I mean, I can call them whenever I need to. If it
bet
does happen.
you got some heat in the streets. You can get some bangers.
Mason.
Then you lock up that Mason. That air. Do you know where Mason is, Aiden?
Everyone knows where Mason is.
Okay.
Come on. Everyone knows where Mason is.
All right. So, if you're a rapper, Carlos, what would your rap name be?
Big Papi.
Big Papi.
Mm-hmm.
Say it the way you said it.
Big Papi.
Big Papi. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we got Big Papi on my left side. Aiden. And I feel like in Northern Kentucky, like when we think of like Northern Kentucky, like hip hop, I think I could see you crawling to the top of that. Like if you were on set, if you had a mixtape coming out next week, I could say like, you know, Aiden's coming with some fire.
Yeah.
And you agree with
Grizzly, a little combo.
Yeah, me and T Grizzly. Yeah, I might feature him in a couple of my new tracks coming out.
I think you should. So your rap name would be
Lil Red.
Lil Red. Lil Red. I think that's a very fitting name. If you guys were to come together like Drake and Future did, as you talked about earlier, for What a Time to Be Alive, what would that mixtape be called?
I don't know. I think that we would have to do something creative. It would have to be big and little. I don't know, something like that.
Big and little, yeah, I like that.
But you like
No.
All right, Aiden, help us out. It's right there. Come on, say it. What's the mixtape called?
Probably like Saucy or something
Saucy.
like that.
Saucy. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So
It just describes us both, so.
right, a lot of sauce. A lot of sauce.
Yep.
I could see the album cover with you two on there and just like sauce around the
All
cover.
types.
Just
Yeah,
all
sure.
type of sauce.
No juice.
No juice. Just straight sauce.
Yeah. Juice is temporary. Sauce.
Sauce is forever.
Sauce forever.
That's the name of it. That's the name of it.
What? Sauce forever?
Juices,
Juice is temporary.
Juice is temporary.
sauce is forever.
All right.
Dot. That's great. We established this. So can I be your manager?
No.
Sure. No.
What?
No.
No, he said yes.
he said
You said
no.
no. Okay, we're gonna have to figure this out off air. I'm excited about this. I'm already working on the album cover. You've got some people in Mason that can make some beats. You got T Grizzly on lock.
Yeah, I got some Cuff Cat dudes too.
I'm sure we can get the student section. What do they call it? Colonel Crazies?
Yeah.
We can get them on the track, just doing whatever they do.
Yeah.
I like where this is going. Well, lastly, I want to leave you guys. I want to say congratulations on a great season in 2018. Congratulations on a great career in high school. And I wish you guys nothing but the best in the future. You guys are going to do fabulous in college. If you keep doing the things you've done in the past and use that as a blueprint, you'll be successful in college. So I'm looking forward to watching you guys' progress.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming on, and I want to thank everybody for listening to another edition of the No Further Comments podcast, the Basketball Insider edition. And we look forward to doing number 9 soon. Number 9 would be, see, this is the Kobe, number 8, the Black Mamba podcast. Number 9 would be the Jordan Olympic podcast.
I like that.
Yep, and Jordan was number 9. I think LeBron wore number 9 in the Olympics, didn't
Yeah, I think
he? He did, right? But we got to go with the real GOAT, MJ, number 9. Thank everybody for listening.